All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for having us today. We are here this afternoon to talk about the big picture, statewide strategy and policy. Business and industry leaders, y'all know better than everyone, we've heard it all day. Talent, talent, talent. No matter what sector you're in, we are all feeling that pinch and that constraint that could really limit our growth and our progress. So our conversations this afternoon are around a shared goal: how's South Carolina aligning education and workforce systems to meet the labor needs of our employers to continue the record growth that we're seeing. So we'll dig into a couple different things: statewide strategy, policy alignment, progress updates, but most importantly, how you as employers, local partners, can all get involved. So you're not here to listen to me, you're here to listen to them. So we'll go ahead and do some introductions. Panelists, if you will introduce yourself, your organization, and briefly describe your scope of responsibility, particularly any programs or initiatives directly supporting workforce and employer engagements.
Okay, is that why you moved down there? So I had to be first? So Brad Neese, I'm the Vice President of Economic Development with the South Carolina Technical College System. Lots of hats go with that. Certainly, hopefully you're aware that we have 16 technical colleges in the state. Two great ones up here in the Upstate. Of course, we're in Spartanburg Community College territory. I see Dr. Larry Miller right here. I better mention him while I'm up here. So my role with the technical college system is multifaceted. So one of the things that I'm responsible for is I'm sort of the liaison statewide for all non-credit education. And so typically when we think of the technical colleges, we're thinking about our associate's degrees and certificate programs that we have. Obviously, the vast majority of our students are in those roles. But we have about 40,000 people that go through non-credit programs at our technical colleges every year as well. And so we have some great programs that are supporting those things. We'll probably talk about those in a little bit. But sort of my daytime role, more in the economic development world, I believe you guys met a rock star of the Upstate yesterday, Latokia Trigg. So Latokia and I are with an organization called Ready SC. And if you haven't heard of Ready SC, I'd love to introduce it to you real quick. So Ready SC is typically the first organization that a company like, I know Don's here, he used to be with Oshkosh Defense. So typically when a company like Oshkosh is looking to come to the state of South Carolina, Ready SC is the first organization that they meet that helps with their workforce recruitment and training. And so as a part of the incentive program to come to South Carolina, Ready SC will recruit and train their workforce at no cost to those companies. And right now we have about 100 companies that we're working with, some big like Scout Motors in Columbia, and then we have, but there's nothing busier, by the way, than Spartanburg and this area in the Upstate. Lots of great companies that we're working with. So, and we have about 14,000 people currently that Ready SC is on the hook to help recruit and train. So that's us, that's who we are.
My name is Floyd, and it's great to be back home. So I was born in Spartanburg and went to school just a couple blocks down the road there at Wofford, and spent half of my legal practice in Greenville. But eventually, I saw the light and wanted to go into full-time public service, and it's my privilege to lead as the executive director the Department of Employment and Workforce, which is a fabulous agency that touches all 46 counties. Our mission is to connect job seekers with employers and employers with job seekers, and we do that working collaboratively with the folks up here, as well as collaboratively with those in the SC Works Center. Part of our secret sauce includes our regional workforce advisors, of which Laura leads. So, the moderator here, I do have an N with her. She does a great job, and we have 12 regional workforce advisors spread throughout South Carolina that connect employers with tomorrow's workforce. Where is tomorrow's workforce? It's in the schools right now, elementary, middle, and high schools. So if you're an employer in this region or another and you want to get connected with tomorrow's workforce, reach out to your RWA. In addition to Department of Employment and Workforce, which I affectionately call DEW, D-E-W, also it's my privilege to chair the Coordinating Council for Workforce Development, which we'll talk a little bit more during the course of this panel discussion. So with that, thank you, Laura, and thank you all for this opportunity to be here.
Good afternoon, y'all. I am Lilla Mandsager, and I'm the Executive Director for Talent and Continuous Improvement at the South Carolina Department of Education. So our division of college and career readiness handles K-12, all things instruction, assessment, curriculum, as well as some of the infrastructure that's needed for the education workforce, including teacher certification, leadership development, and school transformation. Two of the initiatives under our umbrella that I think are most closely related here, actually maybe three. One is the alignment of our career readiness adult education initiatives to the workforce and to the good work happening in other agencies. Another would be data sharing and making sure that we can draw a line between what happens in K-12, those experiences, and how it impacts job placement. And then finally, I work a lot on the teacher and principal workforce and making sure we have people who are educating our students and giving a product that is worth employing once they get to you.
Thanks. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jeff Perez. I am the President and Executive Director of the Commission on Higher Education. I've been involved in higher ed for about 30 years now in 3 different states, 17 of those years here in South Carolina. Worked at Winthrop, worked at the Citadel. I led the Independent Colleges organization. Now I'm at CHE. I like to say that I have a bright future behind me. I'm very proud to be leading CHE now. I do see it as a culmination of my career. I like to say at CHE, we're in the future business. We help people match to the right college to meet their dreams. We help them make it affordable. We make sure the academic programs are of high quality. We license colleges, and we help veterans by making sure the colleges that they're going to meet the standards of the Veterans Administration to use their GI Bill. And we are a big data collector at all different levels to make sure that we are being accountable to you all, the business community and the taxpayers.
Great, thank you all. So each of you are part of organizations that sit on the Coordinating Council for Workforce Development, which Director Floyd mentioned a few minutes ago. So we're going to kick off with that broad strategy, statewide strategy. So I'm going to punt to you. Will you talk to us about that overarching statewide strategy that's guiding workforce efforts now?
Thank you, Laura. Yeah, the Coordinating Council for Workforce Development, I'll abbreviate it by its acronym, CCWD. It's a strategic, focused organization, and it's comprised of the folks up here represented in terms of their agencies, as well as about 30 others. And let me tell you a little bit about why there are about 30 plus of us who come together to talk about workforce development. First of all, workforce development is too big for one agency or one employer or one entity. So by coming together, even with CCWD, it's probably not big enough to truly grasp the entire workforce development for South Carolina, but we do so strategically by bringing people together to work collaboratively about tomorrow's workforce. In terms of the composition, it is comprised of state agencies represented here. Actually, this is a quorum of our executive council as I think about it right now. Normally, Dr. Perez sits on one side, and then Dr. Hardy, Brad's boss, sits on the other side of me. Dr. Hardy is the vice chair of the council. And in addition, and on the executive committee, we also have 2 policymakers. Of course, Superintendent Weaver is there as well. And the latest addition is Dr. Rebecca Battle-Bryant, who's the director of the Office of Statewide Workforce Development. So that's the executive committee. The remainder of the council is so vibrant and so involved, and it includes employers, obviously, large and small. It includes educators from what I call pre-K to post-Ph.D. It includes all aspects, well, the other agency heads as well. So I was here last week with Commissioner Johnson from Vocational Rehabilitation Agency, and she's on the council along with SCETV and some others. So big tent, lots of players within the tent, within the workforce development arena, and our job is to tackle 16-plus strategic objectives set by Act 67, the State Workforce Development Act. And I can go on and on about this, but let me highlight two aspects of it, and then I'll punt the question again. One is, when I know how to get to Spartanburg, right? I've been here more times than I can say from Columbia, but that first trip is always the most challenging when you're going anywhere. And normally, if you want to get someplace, you either have to have, if you're a boomer like me, a map, one that folds out like that. I'm into maps. Or you need to have a GPS, and that's probably how most of us would get here. Well, what's the translation to the workforce development arena? Well, we needed to have a strategic plan. And that over a year and a half, working really hard together with all those that came together, including the corresponding staffs, we developed the first ever unified state plan for workforce development in South Carolina. This is year 2+ at this point, and it has 3 main objectives. I'll highlight them now, and then I'll pass from there. The first is to increase skills, and we know that you all are here today as part of doing that, right? So increase the skills, the qualifications, and that's a big goal, and it's met in many, many ways, and I'll comment about that later. Also, we want to provide additional awareness of the incredible opportunities, career paths throughout South Carolina. So that's the second objective. And then the third is to mitigate obstacles. And for example, some of us we originate from rural counties. And rural counties, it's sometimes more difficult to become aware of the opportunities down the street or throughout the state. So part of the goal there is to increase awareness and incredible career opportunities. So with that, Laura, thank you for this opportunity.
Any of our other partners want to share about their collective work with the Unified State Plan and how it's affected your organization?
Well, I'm personally very proud and excited to be part of it. Being in higher ed, college is all about workforce development. No parent ever dropped their kid off at college and said, "Boy, I hope he never graduates." You all are expecting people to get careers. And I very much appreciate the focus of the Unified State Plan that identified 168 priority occupations, 63 of which require some sort of college preparation or a degree. So at CHE, we're very mindful of our part of the pipeline. And that's one thing that the Unified State Plan does very well. It identifies that complete pipeline from pre-K all the way to graduate school, and the different stop-off points where people can jump off and get a job. So we're very mindful of that. For example, when we're approving academic programs, we ask, does this program lead to an occupation that's a priority occupation? So that's one small way that we can help drive the Unified State Plan and drive the economic growth of the state.
Well, if I may, first of all, Dr. Hardy said I have a vote today, so if there's anything you guys want to vote on, let's do it.
That's right.
But the other, one of the things I want to do is just showcase the reality of exactly what you've just said, Dr. Perez, which is how well these groups play in the sand. And I think that we were doing that prior to the formality of all of this, but I think it really showcases how well we are. So one of the things that we want to do at the technical colleges is make sure that we're providing quality, relevant education to our folks. So one of the things that we sought to do was just do an ROI on some of the actual occupations that we were doing training with. And so as part of this strategy to develop an ROI, we needed to know how much people make. That's part of the ROI, right? What were you making before you went to the technical college? Did you get a certificate or a degree? And then what kind of money were you making afterwards? So to do that, we worked with the Department of Employment and Workforce. We took actual student data. We were able to match it through our partnership and legal agreements all over the place, by the way, match data. And we were able to show, I wish I had the actual numbers in front of me, what it meant to be a mechatronics technician, go through the mechatronics program, matching them with this direct employment wage data, and to be able to say, look, if you go through one of these technical college system programs and you graduate, on average, you're going to have about a 30% increase in your wages over a lifetime. And so, these are not anecdotal, these are actual wages that we can pin to an individual. And so that's the type of thing that I think is interesting for you guys to know of what this work does. It's really tangible, the things that these relationships lead to.
And the only thing I'd add is that alignment trickles down to the K-12 system as well, whether it is our career and technical centers and what they offer and making sure we're offering more pathways that are aligned to those high-wage jobs, or even getting our adult education programs in the mix and making sure they're aligned with the strategic plan. So it's nice to play together and have all those groups playing together. So we need y'all at the table too.
So building on that first question and what you've just talked about in your tangible evidence that you just mentioned, that was legislation that made those data sharing and this collaboration possible. So that's a great first win. What are some other wins that have happened out of this collaboration and this work?
Well, let me continue with that conversation. I'm going to build on the data part of that because I think data is extremely relevant to workforce development, beginning all the way from pre-K. And now we truly have pre-K to post-Ph.D. And the data, it only is, the best data is data that is collaborative, meaning that it's shared from multiple sources. And through the CCWD, we are doing that. Brad talked about one example. Dr. Perez and I also do the same thing with CHE. And so the reason why I'm zeroing in on and Superintendent Weaver as well, DO has data that's unique, meaning has unique aspects of it. And when you match that with the education system, then you can see real time what that third grade or that post-PhD, how that translates into employment in South Carolina, yes or no, and then also, well, generally, what are you making? And then that can help chart the course. It also forms the basis of a supply gap analysis. We've all, I think, seen supply gap analyses come and go, and they are important, but they are driven or fueled by the data. And right now we are getting more real-time, more impactful data than ever. We currently have post-secondary supply gap analysis that's available on the CCWD website, okay? It has limitations because it's post-secondary. Well, working together with the CCWD partners, the next one, what I call Supply Gap 2.0, will be from high school, including graduates, hopefully, high school graduates, and beyond. And so I think we'll begin seeing where the pockets of opportunity and challenges are through the next supply gap analysis. So that's going to be a very impactful, instructive document that's available to all of South Carolina as we go forward.
All right, so Let's talk specifically about here in the Upstate. We've heard throughout the past 2 days all the momentum that's happening with education and business alignment here with all the internships. And we've also heard about all of the graduates, the folks that hold bachelor's degrees up in this area. So this is an area of a concentration for talent, not only for the Upstate, but from maybe our border states. And that can be a challenge to this area. So I'm going to throw it to my educators this time. Let's talk about the current strategies that post-secondary and some initiatives to retain our talent in the state.
Let you go, Brad, or Lila, I'm sorry.
Sure. I'll start off just with some shout outs for the region, just to put some numbers to it. 77% of high school kids in Spartanburg County have a job in South Carolina 5 years later. And so the employability of the graduates in this region is really high. And then I'd say in South Carolina, we're seeing a lower post-secondary college-going rate than we see in a lot of places. So in 2024, we had 55% of our graduates enrolled in higher ed after 1 year, and 14% of those go out of state. So we do see that we have some room to grow there. But then I'll kick it to you for post-secondary opportunities.
I think, that great segue. When you think of a college student, you think typically of 18 to 21. Well, there are, in South Carolina alone, 450,000 people that say on the census, some college, no degree. Part of my background in higher ed is college marketing. Well, that's a huge market. That's an untapped market for colleges, for individuals who are looking to complete their degree, individuals who are looking to upskill. I think in higher education, we need to be sure to be very close partners with you folks in business to figure out ways to get the people the preparation and education they're looking for. You know, Leah talked a lot about professional development. Well, that's what we do. And we need to identify those lines of communications with businesses. I think, for example, you have a whole bunch of colleges in the Upstate here. Do you all have a point of contact at those colleges to talk to about what your employee needs may be? If you don't, we need to figure that out. You need to have what I'd call a concierge on campus to take your call and say, this is who you need to talk to. We need to be user-friendly. And I would say, to be fair, that the technical colleges have traditionally done a better job of that than the bachelor degree granting institutions. They have done it, but it hasn't necessarily been their business. But now with 450,000 people out there, that very much can be our business.
I don't know if it was appropriate to give an amen there, but amen. Well, I guess what I would say that our state can really be proud of is a really systematic approach to keeping those kids, retaining those kids, and walking them through a process. So going to a technical college, by the way, doesn't forego your ability to go into a four-year college. So let's start with that kid who's a junior in high school up here in Spartanburg. That junior in high school could be a dual enrollment kid at Spartanburg Community College earning actual college credit for free. And so how do we retain them? So all of a sudden, they've now got 30 credit hours when they've graduated that goes direct to one of our technical colleges or even one of our four-year institutions. So we recruit them into our technical college, and 95% of the graduates from the technical colleges are South Carolinians, and they stay in South Carolina. So we've just held true to that. Then we also have agreements with four-year institutions where we have credit transfer agreements with four-year institutions from our technical colleges. And so we've created this pipeline where you can begin your college career in high school and take it credit for credit all the way up to University of South Carolina or Clemson or USC Upstate and graduate with that four-year degree. And there's stopping points along the way. You can stop wherever you want to and get back on the train wherever you want to. I think we have a model process here, and we have funding that supports this sort of thing. I think a question later might be able to get to that a little bit better. So I think from a policy perspective, we've done a really good job in our state wrapping our arms around exactly what we're talking about, retaining talent, making it less attractive to leave the state of South Carolina because of the way the structure is to help sort of pull a person through that process.
And I think you're right, too, as far as we've, again, heard it over and over again, lifelong learning. There's different ways to go on and off. Just because you start somewhere doesn't necessarily going to mean you're going to end there, no matter your age, right?
And as part of that, too, let me just, a little plug for economic development. We have the coolest companies in the world in the state of South Carolina now. We've got BMW in the upstate, Boeing in the lower state, Scout in the middle part of the state. If you want to work at a cool place, you don't have to leave here anymore. You can stay in the state of South Carolina, so it is an attractive place to be. And we need people to pull through those processes so they can qualify to stay in those jobs.
Okay, so we talked broadly, big picture. Now let's go more locally. What's practical? What can local employers, economic developers, educational leaders, nonprofits that are sitting in this room, how can they be a part of that statewide strategy? And where are the alignment wins that we should be focused on together?
Well, as part of the CCWD, I co-chair the Career Pathways and Alignment Committee. And that's exactly what we're trying to do, is figure out what those pathways should be. And as we engage in those discussions, it might be trite to say, but we need to get business and education, higher education, speaking the same language. That comes up over and over again. You know, we in higher ed will be talking in terms of career pathways, and the ed department might be talking in using the definition differently, and those in the business world think very differently about career pathways. We need to come up with a common term. We need to not go crazy trying to call every single job a career pathway. We have to organize it. And part of what we do with the Career Pathways Committee as well is work-based learning. And that's where I really see a need for common definitions. At an apprenticeship at a business, you might be thinking 6 months, a year. At a bachelor's degree college, an internship typically means 14 weeks. That's the, you go 14 weeks, you get 3 credits, and you've done your internship. Well, again, that might not be how you're thinking about it. So we need to come together and identify common terms so that we can move forward.
Let me build off of that with Dr. Perez. There's, in September, which was Workforce Development Month, one of the things we celebrated was the Workforce Champion Award. I want to talk about that because it illustrates my point. The Workforce Champion Award is presented to an employer in South Carolina that has demonstrated innovation in the workforce development arena. The most recent recipient was Michelin, and Michelin's program, bar none, is one of the top. It's pervasive. It pervasively connects high schoolers and technical colleges and college students with Michelin and its system. Not all companies are as big as Michelin. Not all companies have those resources. So what can you do? If you're an employer of 1, or if you're an employer of 10 or 100, internships, whatever we call them, work-based learning opportunities, it can be as simple as that, but it is extremely impactful to that one student, that one mentee, if you're a mentor, but that one student, you can build off of that. There's probably everybody here, nearly everybody here, I bet if I were to say, what was important to you and your career path when you were in technical college or in high school or in college, it's probably one of those kind of experiences where you got to see and do and learn. Internships are an essential ingredient in building the workforce pipeline in South Carolina. So if you're a big company or a little company, get engaged in some aspect with internships, which can be inclusive. It includes going into the elementary schools, if you want to, just to read to the students as you start building them out. So a lot of opportunity out there. I offer it to you as an easy but very important thing to do.
All right, so Dr. Perez just mentioned a challenge with common language. I think the four of you probably have different definitions, all of the same internship, work experience, blah, 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 blah. So what are some other challenges that we're seeing right now, and how might the private sector collaboration help address those challenges? And also on that same side with challenges, any challenges related to policy or legislative efforts that need to be considered with those?
I'll just start with access. We can even think of within Spartanburg County, you've got 7 school districts. There are some who have amazing access to opportunities for work-based learning, access to industry, and probably some others that have less access. And that's true across all the regions of our state. So I'd encourage you as employers to think about when you're partnering, don't just partner with the brightest, shiniest penny, but think about the untapped sources of labor that might be even more eager to join your industry and engage in that training. But I think that piece of offering access to all of our students, to all of our potential employees, is one we think about a lot.
So I'll mention a couple. The first that I would say is, again, back to this economic development success that we've had. Success sometimes is on the back of your existing business, right? And so, yes, we love to talk about the wins. We love to talk about bringing the big new fish into the state. But what about those guys that have been here all this time? And so, a couple of things that I think are tough to deal with right now. One is we have major projects. We have big projects in the state that are going to be needing talent. We still have a pretty low labor participation rate. What's it at about right now?
Drop the mic there, right? It's a little bit over 57% statewide. Their prime working age, it's like 83%.
Okay, so we still have a little bit of opportunity to get people back into the employment. Meanwhile, we also have really low unemployment, and so labor force. So we need a pipeline, right? So we need to continue to pump towards our pipeline. One of the things that I would tout as success, and then I want to come back to those existing industries, is what we call the South Carolina Workforce Industry Needs Scholarship. $90 million right now. We're asking for, I think, about $95 million this year. The intent of SC Wins is to help put a person into the technical college so they can earn a credential and get them back into the workforce. And it's working, y'all. It is working. And so if there's one thing that I could ask of you as employers, that if you're in contact with your legislators and you like the idea of people coming through a pipeline because you need it, I would ask that you continue to ask for their support for SC Wins and for the funding for the technical colleges. If you want the technical colleges to be able to train on modern equipment, they have to have funding to be able to do that. So those are some of the things that I would say, remember your technical colleges when you're going to your legislators and talking about what sort of support they need. But the one thing I want to come back to real quick for you existing employers, which is an incentive that we oversee at the technical college system, it's called Retrain SC. If you are a manufacturer or in distribution and you're not currently participating with Retrain SC, it's because you don't like money. And if you do like money, please come see me afterwards, because essentially what this is, and we overhauled the legislation last year, essentially what it is we allow you to claim back $1,000 per person from your withholdings, not income tax. This is withholdings. You are paying withholdings. You do have a withholdings liability. You can claim $1,000 back, get that back in cash, so you can keep retraining your people so you can remain competitive in the state of South Carolina. That is a very unique incentive that most states don't have that level of commitment back to its existing employers. And so, yeah, we're doing some of this growth on their back, but we also want to be able to connect back with you so you can help get a little bit of this money back so you can remain competitive in the state.
I would add to that, a very important partner in all this, they've been referenced, but the General Assembly and the governor, and their support for what we're trying to accomplish. I mean, Act 67 passed in 2023? So in just a couple of years, we have just really ramped it up thanks to William's leadership. They help make college education possible with the merit scholarships, with need-based grants. Just in the last year, they've created special enhancements if you're in a STEM field, if you're in the education field, if you want to go into accounting. So they're identifying those careers that are needed, and they are putting their money where their mouth is. One thing in particular that they put a lot of money into, I really appreciate, is to help you. And we've talked a lot about interacting and interfacing here, but you all are busy. Where do you get started? Well, go to Find Your Future SC. What's the website? I'm shilling shamelessly for you.
SC. Yep,
it's findyourfuturesc.gov. That's where you can get started. And we're working on a portal so that you can go, you're a business person and you need an employee, or you need an intern, or you're not sure you want to start a career. How do you go about it? Where can you get educated? Where can you get the proper preparation? That's what's going to be on the website, and we're looking to get full participation of businesses, of all the higher education institutions in South Carolina. It really is an exciting time to be part of workforce development and economic growth here in South Carolina.
Dr. Perez keeps me energized, right? So, to just emphasize the point, the central portal has been funded by the General Assembly and with the governor's support this past session. So, when you see your state senator or representative, thank them for their support of the central portal. What is this central portal? It's something that's going to be, right now we have the Find Your Future website. That's going to grow into a central portal. That's not overnight, but essentially, I've heard it described this way. I think it was a pretty good analogy. It's like a virtual guidance counselor available for all ages and all levels that would be accessible through the central portal. It's certainly more complex than that, but it will provide real-time data no matter what your age is, but in particular, those who are getting closer to making career decisions to see where and what's out there and how to get there. So that's something that we're looking forward to develop. It's developing now. The Find Your Future website is a great platform to do it from. So.
Great. We have this very large clock staring at us, and it is winding down. So we'll do one more go around with final thoughts from the group. We'll start with Dr. Perez. What's the one thing you want folks to leave with from this conversation today?
I think it's the best means for your success is work-based learning. That feeds into your businesses, your next generation of workers. And I'd also add a human element to it. It is so important for you all to give back in terms of participating in internships and apprenticeships. I bet everybody in this room, if they think back to why they're successful, they can point to one person who said, this person believed in me. That's what you all can do with internships. You can make somebody who's looking at their future, you can literally make them great. And they'll be great for your businesses.
I'll just say, as a former high school teacher, the presentation that was before us, with all of your thoughts put up there, what's the number one need of our industry? That's the stuff we used to eat up in high school. We want to know what you need because we want to prepare your workforce. And knowing that you need communication, I'll just steal Dr. Perez's answer and say, we would love for you to engage with K-12 in terms of work-based learning, whether it's a formal internship, whether it's coming to a career fair so you get some labor workforce exposure to your industry, which might not be firefighter, teacher, priest, things that kids see all the time, but the jobs of the future. We would love to engage with you. If we call you to sit on an advisory council, it's because we really need your voice in there and we want to know what you need. So please continue those partnerships.
Those are hard to beat, right? Let me talk about the power of collaboration. Collaboration is an incredibly powerful tool. It can be messy at times, but it's incredibly powerful. And you all in the Upstate have figured that out. Is it perfect? No. But you can do more together than doing things as silos, be it. And there's application in state government as well as local government and in school government and in between. I think our communities, I know our state is better off when we collaborate together. And I'm new to state government, joined 3.5 years ago. Our governor, that is something that is just a cornerstone for him, for us to collaborate, communicate, coordinate. I think there's a fourth one I often put in there, but the collaboration part is the fuel for progress in the future. And I encourage you all, I appreciate what you all are doing in the Upstate in a collaborative way, and encourage more of the same. So, Brad?
Yeah, well, so there's a publication that us economic developers look at called Site Selection Magazine. I'm sure you all read it as much as we all do. So, but it is a great publication. And one of the things that it does every year is that it does different rankings of states. And so it'll do best state to do business, or best state for tourism, best state for a lot of different things. Routinely, South Carolina is either number 1, number 2, or number 3. And so the reason I mention that is because, you know, we're up here talking about nuances to a system that's really, really working. And so what I would say is, you know, it's great. We need to improve our system. There are clearly things where we have opportunities for growth. But I also don't want us to lose fact that we also have really one of the best systems in the entire country. We are a place where people want to learn from us. The number of people who come to the state of South Carolina to learn about how we're doing apprenticeships is incredible. I think our apprenticeship folks have been invited to the White House now 15 times to talk about how we do apprenticeships in the state of South Carolina. I testified before Congress of how we do apprenticeships in the state of South Carolina. So we have a lot of things in our state to be very proud of. And so that's the one thing that I want to leave you guys with is the things that we're talking about, they're working. They're working not necessarily just because of the legislation, but because of the people that are driving them. These guys are providing great leadership. My boss is a great leader, and they hire people below that care. And these are people that are really working well together and really want to see the system succeed. So we love the state.
That's a really great ending note there. So our time is about up. We do have about a minute for questions. If anyone has any questions they want to open up to the panel.
Well, I've been involved with the transfer initiative that started several years ago, right from the start. And we put reverse transfer as a top priority. Reverse transfer, for anybody who's not familiar with it, means you may have gotten a bunch of credits at a technical college, you go to a 4-year, but you're able to take some of those credits that you get at the 4-year and reverse transfer them so that you can get your associate degree to demonstrate that you've achieved that benchmark. The collaboration is important, and that includes within higher education. And that's something we're working very hard on to make sure that we have the agreements and the relationships to promote things like reverse transfer. What we found, we just had a couple of weeks ago a statewide transfer convening that CHE hosted. That had 130 people who were involved in transfer across the state. I spoke at it, I said it reminds me of the bumper sticker, think globally, act locally. That's really what transfer is about. We want it to be a successful statewide initiative, but it happens very much at the local regional level basically between technical colleges that are in the same area as a 4-year. So we want to make sure that that's working within the regions. Then they can come together at something like a transfer convening and share those best practices so that it will have their local success will have a statewide impact.
All right, let's thank our panelists. Thank you all for your time this afternoon.